live? So we're back. We got it all figured out. But we'll get this thing taken care of here for you. We had a little technical difficulty with some sound and visuals, but we got it taken care of. Being remote is new for us, so please bear with us. We apologize. We had a great conversation while we were off, and we'll start that up with the development and the way that the industry needs to come together for three-wheelers. One of the things that we all have to do is we have to be friends with one another, whether we're riding different machines, and to promote us properly and to stick together. When the green flag drops, go ahead and be enemies. But when the race is over and the checkered flag, come together as a group and support each other. You know, yesterday when we were out riding, the way that you two guys worked together with two different style build machines, I thought that was pretty cool. You guys were interacting with each other and talking about, you know, hey, I did this, or hey, you did this, and I thought that was really cool. I was impressed by the working relationship that you guys seem to come together really, really fast.
I think we both have something in common. We love freewheelers. I don't think there's a make and model out there that I don't like and can't see some sort of beauty in it, for the most part. They're all got strengths and weaknesses, and we've had this conversation together, and I've had it with Dave and plenty of others. There's not the perfect freewheeler out there, and what's perfect for you might not be perfect for me. And to accept that and not argue about it and not swear that one's better than the other is...
And do things to make them all better.
But
Right.
Dave said his BVC two-stroke was perfect.
and it might be for him.
It's
Inside joke.
I think just being, you know, I think you're going to be much further ahead if you can sit there and have a conversation like, this is what I like about mine, this is what I like about yours. You know, what don't you like about mine? That's fine. Let's talk about it. You know, but I think it's kind of ignorant to just hate somebody's build just because it isn't your build.
It's not yours, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you and I are to go back and touch about the relationships of three-wheeler racers off the track. We're great friends. When we're on the track, I'm kicking his butt. You know what I mean? It's war. But as soon as we're off the bikes, it's like, you know, great time.
Well, I work for a company that builds product for three-wheelers.
Yeah.
Okay? This wasn't about promoting a specific company. And that's what I was trying to... I wanted to promote three-wheelers here. And with the relationship I have with David and you and Dave, that's what this was all about, was promoting the three-wheelers and not promoting a company. So you notice there were no flags for specific A, B, C companies, because that's not what we were here for. We were here to promote the three-wheeler itself. You know, when we talk about the history and we talk about the development of hybrids, I saw a lot of great stuff with your machine built by TPC, and then I also saw some great stuff that you did that I think that it could mold together to make an even better machine. I can't wait to see what your machine's going to come out to be like, because it's completely ground up, correct?
Absolutely. It's ground up frame, ground up build. You know, the CRF 450X motor, it's going to be the most modern thing out there.
And that's what's really great. You know, you guys are in the three-wheeler mix more than I am. It seems like everything is West Coast. What's going on the East Coast that we're not getting to see a lot of?
I've been back there a few times to race at Ashtabula particularly, and man, the turnouts are getting for that race. That's the oldest running ATV race in the world. They don't have any documentation.
That they know of.
Yeah, there's no documentation of a race that has been going on every single year for, I think we're on their 55th now. Nowhere in the world they have documentation of a race every year for 55 years.
No.
And so going back there is special, and they make a big thing about it, but the turnout is impressive. I mean, I've never been anywhere where you have 300 race prep three-wheelers ready to hit the track at any given time. It's awesome. And it's a different style of racing. It's a style of racing that is known as TT, and I'm no expert on TT. I tried to do my best when going back there, but came up short on my own expectations. but they're really, really good at it. And they're very passionate about it. And those builds that they build out there are second to none in the world for that style of racing. And out here on the West, we don't have any great TT tracks.
Are they building hybrids, or are they taking traditional old school builds?
Both, and they have classes for both, and they have open class where the old school ones that have some new products on them can go against the hybrid ground up garage builds, and they're all impressive, and it's really neat to see different ones win from year to year. And there's some great pilots back there that seem to, like everywhere, they win no matter what they're on.
Right.
There's those kind of guys out there. The Halls have dominated that style racing for quite a few years, but their builds are unique and different, and the setup for TT on a three-wheeler is no different than a quad. I mean, in my in the racing I've done, that setup is more important on TT than any place else. I mean, it's crazy. The different, the one tire's 2 pounds heavier than the left side, and it goes around the corner. There's so much to it that I still don't understand and get a comprehension, but they got it almost mastered back there. It's really neat to go back there and see a whole nother world that's just as passionate, if not more passionate about it than we are out here on the West.
That's excellent to know that they're doing that. We need to get involved with those guys as well and bring them into the circle so that we can, promote the three-wheelers from a different angle, because we're West Coast. I mean, we're talking about rocks and hills and trees and, just all of the environment that we ride in, and everything's suspended, and ground clearance and durability, which they got to have the durability for TT racing, but it's not the same kind of durability.
Yeah, it's a 15-minute, almost full throttle, most of the track kind of moto, and you could build a motor completely different to go fast for 15 minutes and doesn't have to last 20 minutes that you can racing cars for 12 and a half hours, 12 and a half hours straight. Yeah, it's a totally different perspective from a builder's point of view, but nonetheless impressive in the same route. It's just as impressive, just a different style.
Right, and some of those guys, we need to get their opinions on what they're doing and how they're doing it, because we're locked into thinking that we're doing it the greatest ever here, and back there they're doing something that they're believing is the greatest ever. I would love to know if we could ever find out where the first ATC 90 three-wheeler race was. I've talked to multiple people that, we raced the first one here, we raced the first one there, and Speedway 117 out here in Otay in Southern California, on record for the West Coast, is the first place that we raced.
Which is what, mid 70s, late 70s?
1970.
1970.
1970.
They were racing the balloon tires right when they came out.
And it didn't take long for them to go to a lawnmower tire, a Carlisle, because they still make that same tire today. I think it was, from the conversation that I had, I think it was round 3, round 4, round 5. The 5th time they raced, and somebody came out with those tires, smoked everybody.
Yeah.
And
the next race, everybody had them.
But they were already building hybrids then. With the big balloon tires, they were already racing hybrids. And then in the still 90, put these hard tires on there and went out and beat the hybrids. Because the hybrids were obviously faster, even with the balloon tires.
I think human nature is the first time that they built a rock that would roll down a hill. I think 2 cavemen had a race rolling a rock down a hill. I think
shave a little weight off this rock here and make it go faster.
I think it's been going on since the beginning of time. But and in all forms of motorized racing, it's evolving. I mean, it's just, I think human nature of guys like us that like to make machines go fast, whether it's on the water or the ice or the air or anything. It's how do I make this thing go faster?
And I would say that's always the battle. I mean, it would be neat if we all got together, and I think we all got together and built one machine. Yeah, we could build the best thing, but you don't want to give me all your secrets. I'm definitely not going to give you all my secrets. So
I don't think we could. You know why we couldn't do that?
It's opinionated.
No, because that's just it.
Yeah.
My best idea doesn't coincide with your best idea, and his best idea doesn't work with you, and we might agree, and then by the time we're done, we have this morphed machine that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's a huge challenge, what you just brought up in the long distance desert racing, doing the team stuff. We're not worthy of going Ironman for 500 miles like he did, but it's to find, Dave and I are very lucky because our setup is very similar, what we like together. We're the same height, we're close to the same weight. But when you bring somebody else into the equation, like a Sammy Ehrenberg around with us this year, he's half our size and half our weight. And how do we get that happy medium where he's happy and we're happy on the machine?
So when I built race bikes, I know we're getting a little off topic, but when I was building race bikes, we built the machine for the fastest guy.
Okay.
You pick the fastest guy, then you have your second fastest guy who's similar to that guy. You know, your third or your fourth guy, depending on how many guys you have on the team, they just have to deal with it.
That's kind
You
of
know?
where we were.
Or if your fastest guy was like a Doug Eichner that could ride anything, you built it for your next guy, or the guy that needed the best modifications because your other rider could adapt to it. So there is a method to working it out, and you have to get your team, you have to get comfortable with everybody, and then make the best choices for the team. I don't think enough time is spent on that. You know, it's just like who rides what section. You have to figure out the handicap for each person, and don't put them in a situation where, you know, if a guy doesn't really like those big rocks at the end of Vegas to Reno, don't put him there. Don't make it, even though he's probably gonna make it through, but don't put him in that because you're creating an anxiety and a stress level that he doesn't need.
Yeah.
You know, put Dave in there, let him ride it, you know, and he's gonna go out there and have a great time, and bike's gonna come back in one piece, and you finished and you made ground. You know, you put me in there, I'm not gonna finish.
That's why towards the end of the race, I always tell people who've never done Vegas Reno, I tell them, the last 40 miles are gonna suck.
Well, you have a
Like,
really,
thanks for the inspiration. You know?
yeah, you have a really neat idea of that course because you've Ironman it. You've done it all. You know what every section is. I've done it 3 times. I don't know all the sections.
Right.
He doesn't know all the sections.
Yeah, I grew up right there.
There you
That's
go.
my backyard.
Huge
So you
advantage.
cheated.
Huge advantage.
I wrote all the sections ahead of time.
Yeah.
He's been pre-running it for 30 years.
Yeah.
So that's the secret right there.
But I mean, and you've raced it 10 times, and you probably know those sections from being up there so much, and can match riders up with sections real well. But we still haven't developed that.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah, we're still learning.
Well, I've raced it quite a few times, and I've ridden different sections, but I've gotten to race it on 2 or 3 different types of 4-wheelers, as well as I raced it on a motorcycle. And being on the sideline, being the guy that built the machine, that has a whole different perspective as well. And wow, you get a sense of the worst thing in the world is becoming a racer and then sitting on the sideline and watching these guys race. That's the worst thing in the world. Once you get past that, then you can be more objective and relax and understand that it's not about you, it's about them, and you gain a new perspective and a new respect. Because I never could go as fast as those guys. I was never at that level. You know, even though I'd like to think that. No, I wasn't. You know, you get to race with Eichner and Josh Rowe and some of these other fast guys, and you just like, wow.
Yeah, I think we all aspire to be a Hagsma or somebody, you know.
Right,
but-
right. You know, let's change, guys. Promotion. How are we going to promote ourselves? I know this is a promotion in its own right, but when you're not on a show like this, or you're not sitting down and talking on a podcast, Dirt Wheels is a great outlet. We all benefit by Dirt Wheels, but they can't cover us all the time. So if we're going to get together and we're going to do this, from bringing the back east guys to the west and the west coast guys to the east coast guys, how are we going to grow the promotion?
I think it takes you know, kind of just a grassroots effort, you know, because really, I mean, if you look at it from a financial standpoint, none of us are really benefiting from doing this. It's just fun to do.
Fun and passion.
And so I don't, you know, I promote quite a bit of the desert racing stuff, but there's no kickback. I don't get paid. I don't, you know, they don't cover my entry fees or anything like that.
You don't get paid?
Yeah, no.
Wait a minute. You do this for the sheer love of the sport.
Yeah,
That's what we're missing.
I'm slightly silly.
100%. And it's, you know, we all
Yeah, I know you get paid.
we all promote this because we can, but none of us are promoters. None of us can honestly say we're good at promoting this. We have the internet, and that's a tool where we can reach out to people and try to get them involved, and I've done that. and we all do that. We all have connections on the internet, but we definitely can improve on that. And if anyone has any ideas to give right now, let's hear it.
So let's go backwards a little bit on promotion. Three-wheelers in the 70s and 80s grew at a massive rate, and there was no internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, it was word of mouth and magazines.
Yep.
So we have a better system to reach millions of people. So what are we lacking?
I don't know if it's excitement, you know, because the three-wheelers, I think most people think of three-wheelers, they think of old machines, you know, and I think a lot of the younger guys these days, are, you know, they're into the side-by-sides and whatnot, and
That's a dirty word.
yeah, I can't stand side-by-sides personally. You know, but just getting the younger generations into it, I think a lot of times when I'm out and, you know, I go ride back behind my house, there's some tracks back there, and there's tons of kids. And you pull up, and every one of them just thinks it's the coolest thing ever. But we got to somehow get those guys over, and it's a little harder because you can't just go to the dealership and buy one. You know, I get asked that all the time, like, where can I get one of these? I'm like, well, you can't.
You got to build it.
Yeah, I built this thing, you know, and you can start off with a, you know, with a vintage one, you know, but they're so expensive a lot of times, you know, for something that you're going to be competitive on.
It's also hard because there's no more youth three-wheelers.
Yeah.
You know, they used to make the ATC 70, which is still probably the most sought after ATV in the world. And then you have Yamaha made a little three-wheeler,
Tri-Z.
a little bitty Tri-Z.
Tri-Zing
Was it
or
50?
Tri-Zing or 60.
Tri-Zinger,
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
Two-stroke 50.
Those were
Suzuki made a 50.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a tiny little bike.
okay.
There was one up in Reno for sale the other day.
And you didn't buy it?
I should have.
Okay, yeah, because you got a guy right here that can deal with it. Yeah, so we have to take our grassroots movement on the internet and form a better community. And we need to bring the East and the West together in this build, because it doesn't matter if we're TT racing or desert racing, motocross, whatever. I believe that to promote three-wheelers, the communities have to come together, and we have to come together whether we're this X builder or Y builder or this engine builder or that engine builder, and come together as some unity and respect one another in a way that promotes us and brings it out that, okay, we are an extreme sport. So let's get that out of the way right now. Yes, it's extreme. You can get hurt riding three-wheelers. Wear your proper gear. Take the instruction from the people that know how to ride them, and make sure that you're doing everything you can to be as safe as possible. But three-wheelers are a lot of fun.
Super fun.
They're a lot of fun, and I think a big difference is, as far as coming together, is the race community for some reason is different than the collector community, because I'm a part of both. The collector community with three-wheelers, we all come together. We're all looking for specific bikes, specific parts, original bikes. I mean, you know, you post up an original, you know, mint condition 350X, and everybody has good things to say about it. It's all good comments. You post up that you did good in a race, and you get all the negative guys coming out, the keyboard warriors that have never even raced before. And so somehow as racers, we need to figure out what's going on in the collector community and get the same thing going. I think that's how we can help build it.
Well, with the collector community, they also don't like the non-original stuff.
Not necessarily. I mean, they prefer, they collect the original stuff. It's not like they don't like it. I mean, they appreciate it. They understand, especially if it's for racing purpose, they appreciate the modern stuff, but they're not necessarily going to collect it.
But
It's
what
more
I'm
of a
saying is,
nostalgia.
but what I'm saying is you have the guys that are the extremists
Yeah.
that are going to talk bad about, you know, well, we took our 86 250R and we did this mod and that mod.
Right.
And they're not going to appreciate that. And we need to,
Get over that you just didn't
Yeah.
appreciate any three-wheeler.
Yes,
For whatever
exactly.
the
That's what I'm
purpose,
trying to say.
everybody's different. I mean, he, you know, obviously Dave is a racer, but he might not be a racer. He might just be a hardcore collector that just likes them all original, but he should still be able to appreciate me if I'm racing, that I have to put these parts on to make it a race bike,
Right.
and vice versa. You know, if I'm not a racer and I just want to collect it, then you should think, hey, that's cool. You're preserving a piece of history.
Right.
You don't necessarily, you know, guys get mad at, not necessarily me because I do both. I collect and race, but the guys that just collect, they're like, oh, you need to take that thing out and ride it. I disagree with that, because if you go out and ride it, eventually it's going to get torn up. You know, so you know, I want to have these things around for another 50 years. So you need to understand and enjoy both, is what I think.
Well, you
think
guys are
there's-
out riding these 350Xs. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And you can't buy parts for them. You can't find parts for them.
You can, to a point.
To a point, yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, if you take a pristine bike, I mean, here's the thing. A rear fender is worth over $2,000 for a nice original rear fender. You can't take that out and ride it and break that rear fender. So, but there's an aftermarket company that's been in business for 40 years that's still making these fenders, the aftermarket fenders. Throw those on, go ride it. When you get it home, wash it up, throw your original fender back on.
Right.
Well, I think there's a difference too in taking something that's absolutely a mint machine and going and beating that up versus what I like to do is I always find like on my vintage stuff, the stuff that I race, like my 350X, it was not a nice machine when I got it. I paid $900 for it, and that was probably twice what it was worth back then. But I mean, it had been painted 6 different times with rattle can, and I mean, it was just. And I take something like that and I build that into a race machine. You know, I'm not going to take something this pristine
Right,
original fender
exactly,
like that and go
yeah.
take it out to the desert. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And there's some guys that do that, and I think that's what I call them bean counters, the guys that really care about the original stuff. I think they think that we're taking nice machines and then going out and beating them up. And some
Right.
guys do that, but
Right.
it's just not how.
No, there is. I mean, there's plenty of parts, especially like he said. If you can find an old beater for the price has gone up now, maybe $1,500. You find a running old 350X 250R. There's plenty of parts available to turn it into a nice looking machine, a functional machine, and even a race machine. Those parts are available, and maybe people don't understand that. Maybe that's why they're not getting into it as much as they're not seeing
that's
that.
where
but-
someone could get in touch with you, and you could teach them the avenues to find those parts.
Absolutely.
If you don't have them yourself, you're like, hey, call this guy over here. He probably has that rear axle you're looking for.
Yeah, you could build a bike. I mean, it would cost you a fortune if you did piece by piece, but you could literally start today and buy every piece you needed and build a 3-wheeler.
Yeah.
and build it the way you want.
So let me ask you this: how do the collector sellers get together and form a dealer list of you guys and being dealers of all these exotic parts?
Right.
So you get together, and we have to be able to spread that out so that everybody can find you. One of the problems that we're having with the 3-wheeler stuff, nobody can find anybody because the network isn't working together. The network is fractured from your users to your collectors and your sellers.
Right.
Okay, you have 3 different groups and you're not working together.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
that's
need
the
to-
key. Exactly. If we can figure that out to get everything combined and everyone knows right where to go, I think it would help things out a lot.
Another thing that I think that we're not touching on enough is your 3-wheeler racers, and I'm going to use you as the example as far as professionalism. You're always professional. You're courteous. You're always well-spoken. You're always out there talking to fans. You're willing to put yourself out and be exposed in a professional manner. And you carry yourself well. So we need that. We need all the 3-wheeler people, whether you're a recreational guy or a racer or a dealer, we need more professionalism so that the consumer that's not a 3-wheeler person understands that it's not some frickin' whacked out dude that's crazy riding a 3-wheeler. I know, Dave. I know that once they get to know you, they're going to be a little scared. But the fact that he's a giant, hey, he's safe. He's not going to hurt you. I promise. I think that we don't have enough professionals.
Yeah, this the 3-wheeler history, the fact that they were banned. I'm not going to use the other word, outlawed. I'd say
They weren't outlawed.
I know they weren't.
And
They
they
were
weren't banned necessarily.
But
they
there's-
just said that they couldn't make them anymore.
Again, and there's some people that don't truly know the real logistics of the history that like to take that. I'm a tough guy. I'm an outlaw. I ride a 3-wheeler still. We drink and we smoke and we do this and this and that, and that is doing nothing but hurting
Right.
the big picture of what we're all trying to do, and that is to have fun on these machines, whether they're old or new or the next thing coming out in the future. We all have to realize, whether we like it or not, we're all under the microscope. When you drive a 3-wheeler through the pits at a racetrack, everybody's noticing that 3-wheeler. Our guy drives by on a quad or a dirt bike, you just see it out of the corner of your eye, you don't even pay attention. That 3-wheeler is under the microscope so much more today than probably ever. because it's so rare. It's a unicorn. A unicorn goes running across it right here in front of our camera. We're all going to be shocked.
Right.
If a fly flies on lands on this table, well, none of us are even going to notice it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think there has to be I think because we're under that microscope, you know, you have to be professional, but I think guys can do it in such a way where we prove that it takes a specific skill set, obviously, to ride one of these things, but it can be done safely. We prove that every day.
Absolutely.
So I don't think they're any more dangerous than anything else out there. Honestly, I think my dirt bikes are far more dangerous, personally.
You guys already know this, but the people listening probably don't. And this is an awesome fact. In Vegas to Reno, one of probably the toughest race in America, the highest percentage of vehicles that started the race and finished the race in a class was three-wheelers.
And the injury rate for three-wheelers was 0
Yep.
because nobody got hurt.
A lot more guys got hurt on the dirt bikes
And
Right.
quads.
and the quads as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and these machines,
But then we didn't even, wait a minute, we didn't even talk about the injuries in the side-by-sides and the trucks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you know they happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, so if you,
They're no more dangerous than anything else. I mean, really, you know, if you're not comfortable, you don't want to ride one, don't ride it. But if you're comfortable, it's something. It's easy to learn how to ride. In my opinion, not more dangerous than anything else you're going to do as an extreme sport. I mean, skateboarding, mountain biking, snowboarding, doesn't matter. There's plenty of injuries in it. I don't want to ever use that. They're dangerous as an excuse to not try it, ride it.
everything's dangerous.
Yeah.
You get in your car,
Yeah.
the death rates in cars overshadow this amazingly. So there's an agency out there that tracks all this stuff, and there's numbers that they've produced for the three-wheeler industry are massively skewed. So you have to take that into consideration. I'm trying not to go there in this show because I really don't like this agency, and I'm not going to bring them up. But in the past, it started all of the negative relations, public relations with three-wheelers. The numbers they put out on three-wheelers were massively skewed, and there's different things that they do cover that have a 90 or 89% rate of injury, massive injury, critical, life-changing injury. They don't do anything about it. Don't even have a regulation, and it's pretty awesome. You hear the train in the background, you know. So we need to regulate it more ourselves with our professionalism and knowing that it's an extreme sport. Everything's extreme. Four-wheeler racing's extreme. Motorcycle racing's extreme. Car racing's extreme. You're not gonna do anything exciting in any form of off-road racing or asphalt racing or that's freaking
I'm
cool.
high on the horn on that train.
Yeah, I mean, is there somebody on the tracks? What's the deal?
Pretend to you.
So, extreme sports, you take the guys that are doing the stunts and the tricks on the motorcycles and the three-wheelers and the four-wheelers. Well, I don't see, do they do stunts on three-wheelers? I'm sure they do.
Oh yeah.
So-
Nitro Circus, they have a guy that rides a three-wheeler and does backflips on it.
That's freaking awesome. I haven't seen that yet. I gotta look that up. So we need to take that into consideration, that we also warn people, hey, this is an extreme sport. If you're gonna do it, you need to wear the proper safety gear. You need to get the proper education on how to ride a three-wheeler. Yesterday I was out riding multiple different three-wheelers. I haven't ridden a three-wheeler in a desert environment. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I've ridden 20 years. You know, and it was a lot of fun. And I adapted to the old school ways of, you know, body English moving, getting your butt off the seat to get it to turn. The great thing about the modern three-wheelers is these machines actually allow you to use less body English to get them to work. Where when I rode the older school machine, I had to throw more body English into it.
I work a little bit harder.
Yeah, but you had to work harder to get them to work good. But that being said, if you get a chance to go out and ride one of these modern three-wheelers, you're gonna love it. Especially if you're less skilled, because they have taken into consideration control. They're controllable. yes, you can still throw yourself on the ground. Don't get me wrong, but I instantly noticed when we went through the rough terrain that it wasn't so tippy. It wasn't so, it didn't bounce. It didn't seem to have some of the same negative condensation that the old school machines had.
40 years of technology.
Yeah.
One of the things too, if you guys are listening, and whether you're a recreation rider or a racer or someone that wants to get better on a quad, the best tool, take it from a guy that races both, the best tool that you can go get is get yourself a three-wheeler, go do some figure eights and some turns, and once you can figure out how to make that three-wheeler turn smoothly and nicely and take those same skill sets and put it on a quad, you will be a much better quad rider.
Yeah, exactly.
Much better.
I mean, one of the things that when I want to train a rider, one of the things that I want to go do with them is I want to take them out on a three-wheeler and do figure eights. Because once I teach them about body English and how they need to move, you can take them and transition into figure eights. And if you use your body English correctly, you can get way faster.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the appeals to three-wheelers too, because you don't just sit on it. It's not just a couch. You just sit there and steer and brake and turn. On a three-wheeler, you're really, you gotta,
My feeling is anybody can jump in a side-by-side, ride it. Anybody can jump on a quad and ride it. Not everybody can jump on a three-wheeler and ride it.
Yes, they can.
You can learn. No, you can. You can learn. You learn, but you can't just instantly hop on and go. Like you can't. I mean, anybody, a 10-year-old kid can hop on a side-by-side and go down, the road or around a track. You have to learn, and that's why I love them so much. Is because you have to learn. You have to use body English. You're more part of the machine. It's not, you're not just driving the machine, you become part of it, and you have to learn that. You have to learn the skills, and once you do, it makes it more fun.
Absolutely.
So there's videos out there that are portraying these machines as you just sit on it and steer.
Yeah.
And that's why they're dangerous. No, and that's where if you take and you look at the more expert guys that have ridden three-wheelers and the things, the skill sets that they learn. Hey, the Sundahl slide, where his, his heel's holding on the fender and his whole body's off to the side. I mean, there's real deal to that.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot more skill. I mean, I'm sorry, but there is a lot more skill involved.
Yeah, for sure.
and it's more fun.
Yeah.
I did have a great time. Do I want to go do that again tomorrow? No. That's solely due to because if you watched me stand up today, that would be like a giveaway. And that's solely because I'm out of riding shape. But gosh, take your skill level to the next, jumping. Go ride a three-wheeler. Davey Hagsman, dude, four-wheeler champion and works. Went back to the Nationals on a four-wheeler and got third in the MX. And this goes from a West Coast guy to the East Coast, which is unheard of, from an off-road standpoint to go into a motocross standpoint and doing that well.
Yeah.
Dude, he's freaking super fast. And then he jumps on a three-wheeler and goes out and dominates instantly.
Absolutely. Amazing.
And we could all talk about the quality of the machine and this, that, and the other thing. The quality of the rider made that machine way better.
I think that's one of the things that we all agree on, because the quality of the rider will 90% of the time come to the top, regardless of the machine he's on. All of these machines have strengths and weaknesses, and a good rider can figure those out and learn ways to overcome that to get the job done.
And I think if you ride three-wheelers and then go to ride a four-wheeler, you're going to adapt to that four-wheeler faster.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You're going to have little techniques and little tricks that the average guy that just started on a quad doesn't have.
Right.
And it's going to give you an advantage.
Well, if you watch a lot of the guys that ride quads, they ride
Yeah.
right there, right in the center of the seat, straight back, holding on to the handlebar.
Don't
blah,
move.
blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
And they let the bumps attack them. And you can't ride a three-wheeler like that.
No, maybe one sore puppy when you try, or worse.
Yeah, or worse.
Or worse, yeah. But as far as making a smile on my face, and I think everybody at this table, maybe you're not, but we all smile more on a three-wheeler than we do any on the machine. We've had this
I
conversation.
didn't have to eat so much of your dust yesterday. I smiled some, but when I was following you, all that dust just really killed me.
I think the dirt bike guys and the quad guys, again, I keep going back to this, they need to jump on a three-wheeler and give it an honest try. And I think you'll find yourself smiling a lot.
I don't think it's as crazy as people perceive too. I get every time I come into the pits or after a race, they're like, "Oh, you're crazy, man," and I'm like, it's not that bad. It really isn't. Like, especially the dirt bike guys, that's what blows me away is they say, you're nuts. And I'm like, you have that much tire. I have that much, sidewall, you go through the rocks and stuff. I mean, I just hammer down through the rocks. It's smooth.
I agree with them. You are crazy. You go over 500 miles by yourself without getting off. I agree 100% with them. You are crazy.
Well, Julian and him,
I know.
man, these guys are tough individuals.
Wow.
I have a whole newfound respect for all of you after riding the machines. But in that same note, those bikes, those modern day bikes that you guys get to race, that's a whole different level of cool, because I'm still comparing the old 250R days, because I started out riding the 200X, which is a great machine all in its outright. And then you jump into the 83, 84, 250R, which in some ways, if you think about it, that bike worked really well. It did.
It did. It just had too much power for the suspension.
You know what? I did better on the 83, 84 than I ever did on the 85, 86.
Yeah. Those were good machines the second year.
Nimble and light.
Yeah, it was a great bike.
I think that the average places, the riding spots of where we all like to go ride are popular to say are so much rougher today than they were then. I mean, I remember riding a 110 and a 185 ATC all across the dunes in smooth sand anywhere I wanted to go without ruts. Now
it's chopped up for the side-by-sides, and
on the
there is no
road.
smooth dunes anymore.
And the desert's the same way. It's a different, average trail in the desert today is so much different than it was 30 years ago when these machines were coming around without suspension. Way
Well,
different.
I think the vintage stuff too, I think for the average rider, they can get on any machine, whether it's a modern one or a vintage one, and go out and have fun and do just fine. But, and not to take away from the vintage machines, I love them, we all do, right? We love these machines, but when you're talking about on a competitive scale, especially in desert racing, the suspension and the power of the modern ones is just, it's kind of untouchable, in my opinion. I love my vintage ones, as far as geometry and everything goes, but just, I don't know, we have to step forward. We got to keep moving forward. And that's like your new bike that you're building. Dave and I, my bike, they're kind of almost antiquated already.
Right.
Everybody calls them modern, but it's like they're kind of old already.
Right. Yeah, once the fuel injected new, motorcycle hybrids start coming out, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. And I think in all sports, I mean, I don't know of anything with a motor where a 40-year-old thing with a motor to compete with a brand new thing with a motor.
Exactly.
Car, boat, airplane, anything. I mean,
I'm just happy that we still are at the point where we can evolve three-wheelers, that we're still even having this conversation, that we're coming out with something new when the modern trikes that have been out since roughly 08, now we're 15 years later, and now we're finally coming out with the next step. So I'm happy about that, and hope it keeps going.
Super exciting. Super exciting.
I think it needs to be made easier. We were talking about this yesterday. If you could buy, and if you could just buy a frame. Let's say you could go buy a brand new bike from the dealership, and you could buy a frame, and then you could take that bike and put all that stuff on that frame. Now you can have a properly built modern three-wheeler.
Yeah.
I think that's where the industry is going to have to go.
I would love for that to happen.
Well, the regulations on that, I don't know if there is a stopping point on that to stop them from selling a frame that you can convert.
I think as long as you're not building a complete machine.
As long as it's a garage build where you're getting the frame well, I guess you could take it to a company and have them assemble it for you, which is not a problem.
Yeah.
They can't stop us from working on these machines.
Yeah, they're not illegal to build. It's just, I think if you make, I don't think it's illegal to make parts because these machines are around.
You can build anything from the ground up. So
So if somebody just made, like you said, just a frame, you go buy the bike, you can assemble it yourself at home.
Just a frame that the motor, you can pull the motor out, put the motor in, and build everything else.
That's also one of the problems that we face. We have an industry, the three-wheeler industry doesn't have enough financial backing to go to the government and say, hey, you need to take the handcuffs off of them.
Right.
This is false, and this is why, because it's so expensive to go fight that legal battle in the government.
And I really think that we could do that and win if we had the backing. If it's somebody, we just had the dollars or the legal person that was willing to take it and run with it. I think that we could get it overturned and basically move forward.
I agree, because because it's so easy to find the falsified information when you go look for it. Because I did, some research on my own and found a bunch of, this isn't right. This was a lie, and they're talking about it on the news that they put out was all lies. And there's no personal accountability in a lot of the stuff that they did. People were not taking the personal responsibility for their actions on these machines. When you throw your leg over anything, it's you. When you get behind the wheel of it, it's you. And if you don't teach your children this, which I know that all of us here teach everybody that we talk to, that it's your responsibility to take care of your passenger if you're in a side-by-side or in a truck or a car. It's your responsibility if you throw your leg over the three-wheeler, the four-wheeler, or the motorcycle. You got on it. You didn't put your helmet on, or you didn't put your safety gear on, or you fell down. It's on you because you chose to ride.
Absolutely. I mean, when you get in a car accident, who blames the car? Nobody. Nobody blames.
Well, they do. But
But in the car, three-wheeler, it's always a three-wheeler. It's never the person's fault. And this was what happened back in the day, is putting 10-year-olds on 250Rs. Guys with no helmet, tank top, flip-flops,
and a beer.
drinking beers,
Yeah.
right in the 250R at the river bottom, flipping over. Oh, the machine's dangerous. It hurt me. It broke my leg. No, you broke your leg. So, and that's, guys,
you're an idiot.
Guys, when you're posting your videos on Facebook, this is the biggest thing I'm seeing today, is you're hanging wheelies in your parking lot with no helmet on, no gear whatsoever, thinking you're cool.
You're the reason why we're having problems.
Exactly. That is not cool.
It's not professional either.
That is what causes it. I mean, this is why three-wheelers got taken away from us in the first place. Please be responsible, be respectful, and show, good videos, wearing helmets, and it's just hurting us.
It's the same thing with the four-wheeler industry. You see the guys riding the three-wheeler on the grab bar, no helmet, doing tricks. Put a helmet on. Put some safety gear on. Do something to help us, because all you're doing is fueling the antis that we're bad.
Yep.
Professionalism, I know that you get clicks. I know that you're getting likes. I know that you're getting views. Okay, I get it. I get that you're trying to promote your social media coverage, but promote it in a fashion to where you're not fueling the government to shut us off.
Absolutely.
Help
do it
us
smartly.
out.
Do it smartly.
You'll get just as many likes, if not more, with a helmet on, because I'm not liking you when you're not having it, and you'll get my like when you got a helmet on doing that stuff.
But when I got the helmet on, how do they see the sexy beard?
Because it sticks up.
You gotta go a little bit longer. Yeah.
Wear an open face helmet.
helmet.
Come on. And the sexy gals that ride the machines that do these things. I'm sorry. It's great. We all want to see that, but cover it up, because when you fall off and you hit the asphalt,
That's what I always think of.
you're going to the hospital in an ATV accident, and now we have a negative mark. And I see more crashes on the asphalt than you should ever see, because they shouldn't be on the asphalt.
Exactly.
And I know the videos are great. I get it, because I'm not a social media deal myself. But you'll not see us promoting things like that, because it shouldn't be done.
We all know that the social media is an amazing tool to promote anything. We're doing our job there. But you mentioned something that I keep going back to. Before there was social media, people across this country knew where the races were and what dates they were, and what are, in your opinion, because you were around back then and have a better reflection on it, what are we missing today that we could go back to the grassroots in that capacity to get the word out there?
Communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right here. Talking to people.
I agree. That's how I got it.
Everybody's walking around like this.
Yeah.
Put this damn thing down and talk to somebody.
When I got my first three-wheeler in 1983, I knew I loved the three-wheeler. I knew I loved to ride it. I knew nothing about races. I didn't even know they raced three-wheelers, other than probably that's maybe about the same time I got my first dirt wheels and started reading that and figuring it out. But my friend said, hey, my dad took me last month. We went to this race. It was awesome. You should do it. Guess what? Next month, me and my dad were there. Haven't stopped racing since. I mean, communication. There was no cell phones. There was no nothing. It was a buddy telling me, hey, come check this out. Yeah. And I think that's what we try and do. I mean, with social media now, you and I are always posting, hey, there's a works race this weekend. Come check it out, guys. The difference is people aren't doing it.
Okay, but social media stops. The chain breaks. You have to go out and face-to-face talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, do you know your neighbors? We used to know our neighbors because we went out and talked to people. We need to go out and talk to more people. You know, when you're at the 7-Eleven with your three-wheeler in the bed of the truck, talk to people.
Well, that's the perfect time. You go to a gas station, people will flock to you. When you have your three-wheeler in the back of your truck and you're getting gas, people will flock to you. And that's what you got to tell them. Hey, what are you doing? I'm going racing. I'm going out to race this thing. You should come check it out. And I've actually had people come check out the races in local towns because they see you. They knew nothing about it because the promoters aren't doing anything about it, but they saw you and then they come out. I mean, Havasu is a great one. You go to Havasu, that's a big motorsports town. And they don't even know there's a race going on that weekend until they see you, and then they come out and check it out.
And that's the bummer. And I'm going to put kind of the associations on the hot spot here. Sorry, but you know, we go to these small towns, these races, and all the time I pull into the town, you know, we're at a gas station or something. Oh, what's going on? You know, and the locals have no clue that there's like a major race coming through town.
Yeah.
You know,
There's gonna be hundreds of people coming into your town this weekend. They knew nothing about it.
And there might be 3 or 4 local kids in each one of those towns, or even 1 or 2 that would maybe even join us if they knew about it.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
Well, you look,
So
at,
that
you
ground-
look at Baja.
Yeah.
Dude, word of mouth spreads across the deal.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Spreads like wildfire.
Oh yeah. And they expect you in Baja. They expect you to post like the race course and stuff, so the locals know where to go watch these.
Yeah. And they do.
But they're also word of mouth. They already know before it comes out on social. They already know
Oh yeah. Yeah,
because they're talking to one another.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if it's a social media string, a text string, or whatever it is. But also, you still have a community that talks to one another.
Yeah, we've lost that, and
Yeah.
especially in the western states, we've lost it a lot.
Yeah, because everybody picks up their damn phone and ignores what's going on. And we need to get back to grassroots communication where we're not afraid to throw our machine in the back of our truck and drive down to the local store or drive down to the local community. Getting involved with schools and places where young people are. I remember being able to take the machine to the school and talk to the kids, you know. And there again, you have to present the safety portion of it, you know, with the safety gear and the going to a professional to learn how to ride, or not even a professional, somebody who has the skill set to teach it. And because they don't have professional schools for this.
And they used to. You know what? Maybe that's something we should look into. Maybe there's some way we can come up with a new, you know, three-wheeler riding school. I mean, it can be something like ongoing. You know, maybe a couple times a year. Maybe we do it 2 times a year and promote it. And you know, for starting out in Southern California and Arizona, and you know, even if we got 20, 30, 40 kids, would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. That you know, and you could send the flyers to the schools to, you know, if the schools would allow it. I mean, it's just so touchy with schools nowadays.
Or motorcycle shops. It might be just a
Yeah.
grassroots thing where, you know, you print off a bunch of these and you take them to your local shops and pin them up. Hey, this race is going to happen, or school, or whatever, you know.
Yeah, your dealerships don't even want to promote local racing for motorcycles or anything like that because they don't do any of that anymore. I mean, that's where the grassroots conversation happened, was at your local motorcycles, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki.
They actually had high school race teams back in the 70s. Like high school had a
was in the
motocross
80s,
race team. There you go. I mean, that went away, just like auto shops have gone away and all that other stuff.
Yeah, they've
But-
taken all the good stuff out of
Yeah,
schools.
they really have. Really
You
have.
know? All they're teaching is
A lot of kids don't even go to school anymore. You sit at home in front of your computer all day. You don't even physically go to school. You don't have that interaction.
homeschool. Yeah, homeschool.
The local shops even support riders anymore? Do they have race support?
Not really.
Yeah, because I remember when I was young, I was supported by local Honda dealership. I would go in there, I'd buy my machine, they'd support me, give me discounts, and I don't go into dealers a lot anymore because they don't sell bikes I like, but I don't think they're doing any of that anymore.
Very little. Very little.
I'm actually sponsored by a local shop in Reno, and I was sponsored by a previous shop since '94 actually. But it's just like a little discount, you know. And,
But an actual
but it's
dealer,
but
or a
it's
dealer
better.
or a mom and pop store?
Well, yeah, not dealer, but
Yeah, that's I'm talking dealers. I'm saying
Yeah.
like I can't go into Ride Now and say, hey, I've been racing, you know, these bunch of machines, you know, you guys want to sponsor me?
They won't do it.
They don't care. No, they don't
They
care.
don't care. And that hurts us as well because your independents are carrying the industry again.
Yeah.
Because the factories have let us down. Yamaha makes the only ATV that you can buy, whether it be a 450 or a 700, but your independents are actually carrying the industry.
And that's one of the problems I think with promoting three-wheelers is they're not relevant. You can't buy them new, they don't make them.
Well, we have to understand that. I mean, the manufacturers aren't making money.
But ATVs aren't relevant because you can only buy them from Yamaha.
Yeah.
So the independent guy, and everybody goes, well, the factory. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? The factories have, excuse my language, shit on us since the beginning.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks that the factory ride is the key. No, the best ride is to go to a company that believes in the industry, believes in what they're doing, and has a purpose. Yes, it's their livelihood, but their livelihood came from the passion and the love of the sport, and that's where the growth comes from.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to get back to. Instead, people need to start realizing your grassroots is where it all came from. You know, when we started racing ATC 90s, Honda wasn't involved. They just sold the 90. You know,
There's several different makes and models of little dirt bikes. If I could go buy my little boy, little girl in dirt bikes, I can go buy them a little quad.
Yeah.
You can't go buy the used market, yes, but to go someplace and buy a brand new little three-wheeler, that doesn't exist. And I know.
And it won't, and it's too bad.
And
I
it's
mean, we
not.
just got a stigmatism because of the 80s and what happened. I mean, you know, kids and people that were born after that, they have no idea that it's a bad thing. I mean, if Honda sold three-wheelers today, if all of a sudden tomorrow they came with a whole new lineup, people would buy them.
They would sell the heck out of
If you go into an elementary school, let's talk third graders, and you put a quad, a motorcycle, and a three-wheeler in front of them, and ask them,
they're going to go to the three-wheeler every time.
ask
Because
them
they
which
have a
one's
tricycle.
ask them which one's the safest. They'll probably pick the three-wheeler because they had a big wheel.
Yeah.
They have a tricycle.
Big wheel or tricycle? Big wheel or tricycle?
That looks just like a big
Why
wheel.
did those get recalled?
There you go. So again, for us to say that that's the problem with the sport today is they know the 80s. I don't think that's correct, Dave. I think the average third grader has no concept or clue and will never learn about what on in the 80s about three.
Right. No, yeah.
They'll pick that three.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they were brand new, they would sell them because they don't know that.
100%.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Do they still sell tricycles?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Big wheels,
Yeah.
tricycles.
50% of the people that I talk to, like out on the street, you know, I tell them I race three-wheelers, and they go three-wheelers, and they don't even understand. Like, it takes them a minute. I'm like a quad, like a four-wheeler, but with a single front tire. And they're like, they still make those? You know, they just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what it is or what we're doing. And
yeah, I think that it's our job to promote the three-wheeler in a positive
Positive way.
light,
yeah,
because it's also our job to fight off what 60 Minutes did to us.
well, that's
You know, because those 60 Minutes is ultimately the false reporting they did and the lie that they portrayed is what helped cause all this
But
problem.
we're still suffering 40 years later from
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened in the
Four-wheelers.
late 80s.
The four-wheeler industry,
Yeah.
because the factories are still afraid of the four-wheelers, and the racetracks that you go to are afraid of the four-wheeler. Well, the four-wheeler community actually sabotages itself because you get a racetrack open and they'll allow, and then nobody shows up.
I hear it almost weekly. You know, people say, "Aren't those things illegal?"
Yeah.
And I have to correct them immediately. I mean, I just tell them, absolutely not. They never have been illegal. There was a temporary ban on new sales. That was it.
Yeah.
They're not outlawed. They're not banned. You know, you could sell them.
How can you live in a free country and they ban that?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It would
Yeah.
never happen today, and it is too bad that it did happen, and we can't reverse it. But we can just move forward and try and, you know, it has grown. I mean, I've been in it the whole time. I've seen the ups, the downs. I mean, early 2000s, nobody was doing anything with them. They weren't riding them. They weren't racing. They weren't doing anything. We've come a long way. You know, in that 15 years after, since then, we've come a long way, and we just have to keep working, you know, on it. So who knows? In 10 years, maybe something will happen. Maybe we will be producing.
I got a
three-wheelers.
challenge, and I'll take it on to myself, and you guys can take it or leave it. But I have a challenge. We need to all find somebody who's actively in the motorsports already, whether it be a dirt bike, a quad, or something, and convince one of them and mentor them and to get them on the machine. I mean, literally, whether it's just teach them how to ride that three-wheeler around the pits at a race, or in your backyard, the kid down the street, or something, and maybe that will develop into the next generation of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. It's our job to carry the load to make it happen. And one of the problems we're sitting right here, you have 3 gray hairs and a young man, you know, and
Well, thank
we need the younger guys to bring the younger people in,
Yeah.
you know, with the children. You know, I don't know, do your kids ride through?
They have, yeah.
Do they still ride?
If we go out, yeah. I don't take them out enough much as I should, but yeah.
Then you're part of the problem.
Yeah. Well,
Your kids, do they ride through?
My little, well, yeah, they've both ridden my 350X. They both want to ride. So I have, I don't know, 15, 16 three-wheelers or so. But a lot of them I've bought more recently. And so I'm restoring those. And I have, in the works right now, I have a 70 that's almost done. I have a 90 that's next. You know, and get them on, you know, smaller machines where they can learn and they're light, you know, and nimble, and then move up from there. So both my kids have already ridden the 350X.
But that's not what we're trying to promote. Here, we want to keep our young people on smaller machines, so that we promote it correctly.
I want to do
Even
it
though
safer.
you're out there with them and you're controlling it,
Absolutely.
we don't want your younger children riding the larger machines.
Yeah.
We need to build smaller machines. We need to get together with our collectors and get together with our builders and get some smaller stuff built so that we can go out there and promote that. Didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
No, and I agree. I would never put my kids on my 350X or anything like that and say, "Here you go, you know, tear it up."
It's not a babysitter.
No, yeah. When the couple times that they have ridden it, I'm right there, you know, real close, or even on the machine with them, you know. And but yeah, and that's why I'm building the smaller ones so they can do it in a safe manner. Where they can jump on the 70, go ahead.
ATVs or ATC 70s are still readily available. The problem is, grown men are buying them up, is either to collect them or to soup them up and run. They have an ATC 70 get together at the dunes, and they'll probably have 100 grown men on 70s riding them. So there's plenty of them out there. The problem is the adults are buying them up.
All you guys that have 70s, you need to get the kids in your neighborhood to ride your 3-wheeler in the backyard.
Just share it. You don't have to give it away. Just share it.
Let the kids ride them.
Nick Janusa back east on the motorcycle deal has the pit bike race with the TRX 90s. Dude, and it's huge.
Yeah.
You have all these guys, and you get more guys racing the 90s than you do racing the big 450s.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, it's like the deal at King of the Hammers, you know, with the Loco 70s or whatever, and the
Yeah, they have a 70 race, right?
Yeah, they have that 70 race.
Yeah.
You know, they're not 70s, they're 140 Piranhas or whatever, you know, but they have that little. It's just a little donut is all it is,
Right.
you know.
My 2 boys, they've tried the ATVs and it's just not their thing. I mean, I don't try to push anything on them that's not fun. And I mean, if you I make them try it, which they did, and they're like, "It's just not fun for me, Dad. You like it? It's cool. We'd rather go over here and do this." I'm like, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, people can either be into motorsports or not, but our point is if they are into motorsports, try this as an option.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't just look at there's a dirt bike in the quad. No, there's more options.
There's all kinds of kids out there.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm hoping to work on next year. There's a short course that Bora, they got a contract with some land, and they're putting in a short course. And I asked them if I can promote three-wheeler racing there.
Cool.
And they said absolutely. So, and it's one of the things I want to do is like a kids race on three-wheelers.
Yeah,
There you go.
Probably
That's
hasn't
where we
happened.
start. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sitting down on the morning show, ATV Talk, and talking about three-wheelers. Thank you for allowing us to come to your facility and put this on. You too, thank you for always promoting three-wheelers and bringing us together. Remember, everybody, Sunday morning, the morning show, ATV Talk, live on YouTube. Check us out. I know that if you have questions, please ask in the comments section. If you need to get a hold of these gentlemen, they're available, and we can promote three-wheelers. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you very much. Super fun.
Thank you.
One thing you might want to mention is Instagram. My Instagram is GoobTech, GOOBTECH.
ATC Addiction. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, just Google David Ham and three-wheeler racing, and it'll come up all kinds of Facebook stuff. You can get that to me.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much.